This is your Ride Companion video tutorial. So you just downloaded the Ride Companion app and you're wanting to check it out. You want to see what it's all about. So you open it up and the app opens. Now it's going to say waiting for a better GPS signal. Once it finds a good GPS signal, which means accurate within less than 14 meters, then it's going to allow you to start doing some stuff. So the first thing you have to do when the app is open is you have to press this blue button all the way to the left. That's your menu button. Now you can create a login. You press that login button, which is all the way to the blue button all the way to the right. You create a username, or you can use this default username. You enter in a password, and by entering in a password, you're agreeing to let the app log your location data. Okay, so you enter in the password. It can be anything over 3 characters. You press the check-in button. If it successfully logs you in, the login button or the login menu goes away. This little message is going to pop up telling you about the location collection. When you're done reading that, you just press one of these map buttons at the top, and that'll go away. So I press one of those 2 map buttons at the top, that goes away, and now we're ready to start looking at some data. Now right here we have our miles life. That's the miles that you've driven during the life of that app while in driver mode. The miles driven today in driver mode, and your session miles. That's the miles driven since the app has been open. It's also showing the direction you're driving, your current location, and the location that it last plotted your point in your log. Okay, it also says distance between session points. That's the distance between the last point that was logged. At the bottom you have a little car icon with red headlights. Those headlights will turn green when it's ready to plot a position. At the far bottom in the green text here, that's a trip address start. So that address will populate when you start a new trip. The trip distance will start counting your miles during that trip. Your end address will populate when you end a trip. And your trip time will start counting when you start the trip. All the way to the left we have a gear icon. That's for advanced settings. There's really not much going on in there that you need to be concerned about. But if you want to look, you press on that button. It says save to web. Okay, so this is going to save the app data to the internet. Okay, if you created a login, it'll save that to the internet. If you want to change your devices later, you have to remember this unique ID. That's the yellow text in that text box there. You'll have to enter that into your new device as well as your login username and password. And then when you're ready to restore that data, you press the retrieve from web button and you can add that data to a different device. And then down here, this is just showing you some advanced stuff that doesn't really make any difference. Don't change this data distance correction. It may screw up the GPS accuracy. But we're done looking at that. So we're going to close this out by pressing on the gear icon again. And after we logged in, we got a little message button here. It shows a little message bubble. When we press on the settings button, we get a question mark there. If you have a question about the app, you can send me email. All you have to do is press on that button and I'll open up your email and let you send me an email. We'll get into this message box in a little bit. But now we're ready to start driving. Okay, so we're in driver mode. To switch our modes, or our menu at the top here, between our options menu and our modes menu, we press the back button on our phone, or we can press this menu button and that'll give us our options menu. and we can hit the back button again, and that'll go back to our mode menu. Okay, so we're ready to go into driver mode. So we're going to press driving. It turns green. It said we're logged in successfully. It plotted us on the map. It says we're in driver mode. So now we're plotted. Okay, what that means is it plotted your position on your map for the log. And we'll show you that at the end, or in the middle of the tutorial, I guess. So now we're just going to do some driving. We're going to wait for a passenger to call us. We're going to drive around. And as we're driving around, you can see all this data starting to populate in the app. We're getting our life miles are adding, our miles driven today are adding, our session miles are adding. All our positions are changing. You know, we're plotting data like crazy. You can see at the top here, we're plotting our position. Every once in a while, I might say failed to check in. And that's just because the internet was a little slow. Maybe the data connection was slow or something. And it didn't respond fast enough for the app to recognize that we plotted a point. That's okay. It fixes that automatically with the next point that plots. So we just ignore that. So we're driving around. We're driving around and everything's looking good. We just got a call from a passenger, so we're going to go to their location and go pick them up. They said, hey, I'm at the park. Can you come and get me and bring me home? Sure, we can do that. So we're driving up to their location at the park. They're at Greenfield Park in West Dallas, Wisconsin. It's a great park. They're here fishing for bullheads in the pond here. So we're arriving at their location. We pull up. We're going to stop. And they're a Lyft passenger, so we're going to press on the Lyft button. Okay, so now we're waiting for them. As soon as we pull up, we want to press the Lyft button or the Uber button to start the drive, to start the trip. So we got our beginning the trip address. We're on Park Drive in West Dallas. And that's in the park, so there's not really a street address or a house number. But we got our drive and address and everything. That enters in automatically using the internet. It gets the data from the internet. It says we're still driving because we haven't ended the trip yet. It gives our trip distance and our trip timer. It's important to start the trip as soon as you arrive, because you want to know how long you're spending waiting for the passenger. All right? So the passenger gets in the car and we're off. We start driving. They want to leave the park. They want to go home. So we're driving around. And our passenger wants to go home. So during all this time, it's plotting a route on in a map log on the internet. So you have to have an internet connection for this to work, of course. But as it's plotting, it's saving all this data for you on the internet. So in case something happens to your phone or whatever, it's gonna be there. It's not going away. It's there for permanent on the internet. So we're going to take a little bit longer of a trip yet, just so we can show how this app works. We're driving down the road here, and we're coming up on our destination for this passenger. Try and stop in front of a location here where nobody thinks I'm going to be a creep, because it's going to take me a minute or two to demonstrate the app. So here we go. We're coming up on the passenger's destination location, and looks like we're going to drop them off right about here. And we're going to end the trip. So to end the trip, we press the lift button again. It plots our final point. The lift button turns red. It populates the address where we dropped off. You can see our total trip distance and our trip time. Pretty cool. Okay, now we just got another call from an Uber passenger. So we're going to drive to their location, which is just up the road. And the whole time it's plotting points. And we just arrived at the Uber passenger's location. And we're waiting for our Uber passenger, so we press on the Uber button. The Uber passenger gets in, and we drive off. They're not going too far either. They're just going around the corner here, and we're going to drop them off at their location. As you can see, all the status icons on the bottom change. Our trip info changed, and it's counting a whole new trip on the bottom window there, or the bottom box. Everything's populating and totaling up. So we arrive at our Uber passenger's destination. We stop. We press the Uber button once they get out. The trip has ended. We got a new trip address, start address, everything. That all got saved to the internet. Okay, we're done driving for the day. Okay, we want to end our driving session. We press on the driving button. It says you drove for about 3 miles today, and our driving session is over. It's going to stop counting our life miles and our miles today, but it'll continue to drive our session miles as long as the app is open. So we'll demonstrate that. You can see our session miles are changing, but nothing else is changing. So that's okay. That's cool. That's what we want. And you can also see that it's still plotting a position. Okay? It's saying plotted chilling. Okay? That just means that we're not in driver mode. We're not in a Lyft mode. We're not in Uber mode. We're just chilling. Okay? So we're still got the app open, and we're still logging our current position, but in a different mode. Okay? So we're going to drive back to the park. Or drive somewhere where we can just stop on the side of the road and demonstrate the rest of how this app works. I'm going to pull over here in Greenfield Park again in the parking lot. We can demonstrate the rest of the app. You can see our session miles are still counting, but nothing else is because we're in chillin' mode. We're just chilling. We really don't care about chillin' mode. We only care about driving mode, Lyft and Uber mode. Okay, so our app It's showing us a lot of different things. We populated some life miles, our today miles, and our session miles. This is the direction where we were driving in. This is our current position, our last position plotted, and our session miles since that position. And it's also showed our driving time has changed. We added some rides in there. We got our trip status on the bottom. Now we want to look at all this stuff on the internet. We didn't do this for nothing. We want to save this so we can retrieve it later, which is now. We want to retrieve it right now. So we're going to go back to our options menu. You can either press the button all the way to the left, or you can press this back button to toggle back and forth. We want to see our trips. We want to see what trips did we drive on today. So our trip button is the third button over from the left. That's this button. We want to see our trips for today. And I've created a couple trips previously, but right now, this is our trips for today. We have 3 Uber trips, 2 Lyft trips, and a bunch of different plots that were pointed for driving and chilling. Okay, those show up in the trips also, and those are just showing that where we started and stopped our driving modes. And then we also have summaries showing our driving stats for Uber, driving stats for Lyft, and that's all shown on the internet as well. If we select on one of them, we can hide this menu, and it's going to show our stats for that. Okay. Now we can also click on the icons that are on the map and get the same stats. So that's our status for chilling, our status for driving, for that time or that driving session. We can also zoom in on our location, our current location, by pressing on this location icon on that menu. And then we can pinch to zoom. I'm going to press this back button here. And when you press the back button, it gets rid of that trip list box at the top. And that allows you then to pinch to zoom. And you can see the trip that we took. Here's a Lyft trip in pink, and the Uber trips are kind of in this brownish yellowish color. And you can see where it started and where it ended. If we click on that trip, on that line, we can get the trip data. So we started at this address, the pickup address, and then we got our drop-off address. The distance we traveled, the trip time, the time we've driven today in Lyft mode, and then our lifetime driving in Lyft mode. And then we have our distance traveled for that trip. And then we have, it says Lyft, which is the mode that we were in, or the service that we were driving for, and then the date and the time that the trip started. And it'll show the same for that Uber trip if we click on the Uber line. It'll give you all that Uber data. So now this app also has a feature to where we can log our gas fill-ups, which is important. You want to keep track of how much money you're spending and what all your costs are for driving. So we just went to the gas station and we filled up with $47.20 worth of gas. We type in 47.20 and we press on the save button. You can hide our keyboard, and that saves that for that in the app. It'll also save that to the internet when you close the app. That automatically gets saved to the internet. So that's going to count all that for this month and this year. So when you go to retrieve this data, you can get all your gas costs also saved. So to hide that gas menu, click on that gas icon again. So you want to hide the map. We click on the map button and we go back to here. Say we want to see who else is using the app in the world here. So we click on the button, 4 buttons over from the left, that button there, and it's going to show us who's all on the road today, who logged in today. So we click on there. You can see there's been a few logins. Not many. This app's pretty new. So we select a driver, which is this. Let's click on this guy here. This is us. The very top one is going to be the most recent to log in. So we click on that one. That one's us. Okay, so what that shows is it's going to show his last driving mode that he logged in with. We logged in with chillin' last. We weren't doing anything. Just had the app open, lastly. And then it shows how many miles have we driven today and how many miles have we driven for a lifetime while using the app. If we click on the icon, we can interact with this driver. Okay, so since this is us, we're going to be interacting with ourself, or this is our chat window. So say we want to chat. We enter in a chat message and we can hit the send request button. Okay, now on your end, if this is your chat window, what's going to pop up is a little chat box, and you get an accept request button. So passengers can actually request a ride from you using this app if they open up the chat window, or they can do it from the internet. Now, say a passenger wants to request a ride from you, they can log in on the internet and they can say, "Can you pick me up?" And I'm doing this from the internet on my laptop right now. And I typed in, "Can you pick me up?" A little message pops up saying, "Ride Companion posted a message." The Ride Companion is the username and the time that they posted the message. You can go back and it says, "Can you pick me up?" And you want to say, "Sure. Yeah, I'll pick you up." Sure. Okay, so say you want to pick them up. You can hit the accept request button, and it's going to automatically populate a message and say, "Hey, I'm coming to get you." Okay. Now, of course, you don't know where they are from the app, but if you want to navigate to them easily, you just press on their name, which is a button. It populates a navigate button. That navigate button enables. You press on that, and it'll open up Google Maps. Okay, so I can press on Google Maps. I just want to do this one time. And when Google Maps opens, it gives me their location as a GPS location. And then I can select where my location is. So if I want to use my current location, I can select on that, and it's going to give me a route to get to them. Now I can either say start navigation, and that'll give me a route to get to them. Now since my location is the same as their location, it's not going to give a route, but it would give a route if their location was different. So you can kind of see how that works. This is the chat message box. You can chat with anybody in here. Say I want to chat with a different driver, and so I click on a different driver. I click on their chat box, and I type in hello, or Bell or whatever. I just typed in anything. Now I don't get an accept ride button because this isn't my chat box. Okay, I can't accept rides from their chat box. Only you can accept rides from your chat box. So that prevents other drivers from stealing your rides. Okay, but so that's how that works. Now I can chat back and forth. I can request rides from this driver, and on his end, he's going to get an accept button, and he can interact back and forth the same way you did before. So say I'm done chatting with everybody, I'm done. I don't, I can just hide this box and go back to the regular app. And there I am. There's how the app works. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you use it a lot. I hope you find it useful. Thanks for using it.